content is king. If you're not making great videos, you're gonna lose on YouTube. And so the question is, how do I make great videos? And that's where we designed the perfect video recipe.
You gotta just press record.
And so the power of having a recipe, it means it takes some of the pressure off of having to know everything about YouTube. Just follow the recipe. Now, after studying thousands of viral videos, posting thousands of my own videos, over 200 million video views, it's really been refined down to serve you and help. This is the perfect video recipe. 1, the big idea. 2, the hook. 3, content. And 4, the transition. The big idea. And this is one of the biggest mistakes that most creators make. They press record before having a plan. Now, I just want to address the elephant in the room, because if you follow my content very closely, then you might think, Sean, you're a contradiction. Well, on the one hand, you just tell us you gotta just press record and you gotta start before you're ready. And then you say, but actually, wait, don't do that. Actually make a plan. Which one do you mean? Do you mean start, or do you mean sit down and plan? I actually mean both. No plan, not overthinking it, grab your smartphone, and that's usually your first few videos.
So this is, I guess, the first Sean Thinks vlog.
Because I found people get stuck in analysis paralysis. They get stuck in constantly learning and not doing, and we have to be implementing. In fact, I think we learn best when we take action. We learn best by posting videos on YouTube and studying, not just studying. Because once you're posting, you can start getting some momentum, but you also start understanding what you're learning better. You go, oh yeah, now I understand why that last video didn't do very good. That's right, I've posted 3 videos now, and now what Sean's saying is making sense. And where a lot of times creators struggle is they don't start with the big idea first. What's the big idea? It's 3 things. What is the topic of my video? What is the title of my video? And what is the thumbnail of my video? You actually want to get clear on these things before you even record the video. The second ingredient is the hook. After you're clear and you have a strong channel topic, you have a great thumbnail and a great title, and someone gets into your video, you want to grab the viewer's attention in the first 30 seconds. Why 30 seconds? Now, ultimately, your goal is to keep people watching as long as possible. But it doesn't matter about how cool your video is 5 minutes into it if they're not watching through the first 30 seconds. And one of the things you'll notice in your YouTube analytics is a new tab underneath. There's overview, there's reach, and then there's engagement. And if you click on that in your YouTube analytics, you're actually gonna see a section that says key moments for audience retention. And there's a dedicated area that says still watching at 30 seconds. So we actually know that the YouTube studio, and therefore it's an insight into the YouTube algorithm, really cares if you can hold people's attention even for just the first 30 seconds of your video. The goal is to craft an opening to your video that is intentional, compelling, and that does a few things that really keeps people watching and makes them want to watch until the end. Then you, of course, get into the core content. And this is really everything. I mean, everything leading up to this point was critical, because no one's going to care about the content if they don't click on the video in the first place, or if they don't keep watching and you don't convince them to continue watching. But now you're into the main substance. This is the meat and the potatoes, right? And so here's your goal. You can use these 4 tips to double the views on your next YouTube video. Number 1, quickly deliver on the promise you made on the title. Okay? And so now that you're into the content, a mistake you could make is taking too much time to go off on rabbit trails, to get distracted. The more quickly you deliver on the promise you make on your YouTube title, the better. Tip number 2 is prepare and outline your points ahead of time. Thank God, and one of the reasons why I hope this content is halfway decent is that I have an outline I'm looking at on my laptop right now. I'm showing up organized, so there is substance and structure to this content, so that also you can walk away as a viewer or a listener and actually walk away with 4 clear tips. The third tip for improving your content is use visuals. Now, this is a real practical tip. If you're not video editing, you can still use visuals. If you're just live streaming, you can still use visuals. What do I mean? This could be a whiteboard. Another way to do it is note cards. And what do I mean? If you have 4 or 5 points in your video, you can write the points on note cards and hold them up one at a time. And that's also keeps it's something visual happening. So you're not just talking on camera with nothing else happening. This is why in films or in drama or in theater, they use props. Is there any props that you could include in your video? Visuals. So again, even if you don't do any fancy editing, you can pre-plan visuals that will make your video more interesting, which brings us to number 4, and that is video editing. Video editing is one of the absolute best ways. I believe it is an essential way that typically when you study most viral videos, when you study most of the content that's winning on YouTube today, it has video editing. There's just nobody can be as good extemporaneously or just straight through communicating than they can be compared to when they're edited. There's the transition. That's the 4th ingredient. What's the transition all about? Here's the mistake people make. A lot of people, as soon as they're finished delivering the content, they start to land the plane and people are just gonna leave. You want to then transition to another video. The mistake people make is they deliver their final point and then they go, well, so that's it for the content today. As far as other things happening in my life, like maybe a few people are gonna stick around for that, but that's gonna be the drop off. But the principle you need to know is that your goal is to transition to another video, not to tell your life story, not to give 1,000 call to actions at the end of the video. In a perfectly optimized YouTube video, you gotta just transition.